Cargo AI is an open-source tool for turning real workflows into production-ready AI agents. Let me show you what that looks like in a real business use case. Before I begin, let me show you where we're going. I spend a lot of time working out of a great local coffee shop called Velocity, and one of the things that makes it special is their rotating monthly flavors. The problem is that those monthly flavors are not online, so my daughter and I end up standing in line, looking at the menu for a few minutes, trying to decide what new flavor we want. That got me thinking, what if the owner could just take a photo of the new monthly menu and have the website update automatically? I was able to build that workflow in minutes with Cargo AI without touching a single line of code. So let me show you how I went from this menu snapshot to an AI integration that updated the monthly flavors in just a few minutes. With Cargo AI, we define the structure of what is to be done. We call this declarative agents, and it facilitates the fast creation of production AI integrations that are reusable and secure. Now here's the workflow we are going to build. We start with a single photo of the monthly flavor menu. Then we use Codex to help define a Cargo AI agent that knows exactly what to extract, what to generate, and what the boundaries of the workflow are. Codex works well with CLIs, and Cargo AI is a CLI build system for agents. It's a match made in heaven. We're not competing with what Codex does. We're using it to amplify AI's power. As a build system, Cargo AI can check the validity of the declarative agent before it gets built. That's called a hatch check. Once that's done, we can review the validated JSON and then build, or hatch, as Cargo AI calls it, giving birth to our new agent. So let's get started in a new folder with the drink image and run Cargo AI add guidance, style Codex. This gives Codex the added support it needs for Cargo AI. Now we can simply tell Codex to build an agent that accepts an input file, pulls out the drink title and description, determines whether it should be hot or cold, creates a good file name, and then generates the images. Now we could tell it to build the whole agent at once, but let's do the first drink only and echo out the results. That way we can make sure the structure is right before we scale it up. All right, so let's get started by telling Codex what we want to do verbally. This is our same project folder. Hi, Codex. I want to build a Cargo AI agent around the menu image in this folder. Start only with the first drink on the list, so we can get the structure right before we scale to all drinks. Please create an agent named Monthly Flavors, so it accepts the image as input, extracts the first drink's title, description, and whether it should be hot or cold, and then echoes those values to the command line. Run a hatch check on the agent until it passes, then show me the JSON inline for my review. Okay, now the only thing I'll change is the file name, as I want it to be Monthly Flavors with an underscore as a separator. It'd probably do this anyway upon thinking about it, but reducing ambiguity is a good thing. Okay, it seems to be thinking about things. I'm going to speed things up a little here, but in the background, what it's doing is looking at the documentation we added through the Add Codex guidance step. That gives it context on this version of Cargo AI, so it knows how to use it correctly. It also knows how to run a hatch check, which basically verifies that the agent definition is valid and compiles cleanly before we actually enable it. Between the single JSON, where we declare what the agent is supposed to do, and the Rust program it compiles into, this gives us an AI security layer by constraining what the agent is allowed to do locally. So in our case here, we're defining that the agent can do the work, but the only local action we've given it is to echo the result to the terminal. Now that it's done, let's look at the JSON it produced. At the end of the day, Codex is just helping us define the JSON behind this Cargo AI agent. Each agent has one JSON definition, and it can also call child agents if you want. We don't need that here, but one idea that makes this system flexible is child agents can be generic, reusable, and easy to share. After all, it's just a JSON file. And with a few small tweaks, you could apply this same pattern to lots of other menus. So we told Codex to produce the JSON inline for review after it validated the file. So looking at it from the top, we can see it's inputting the image file it found within this project folder. However, you can override this or even add a different file. In the future, for example, if the coffee shop owner is up to it, he can just email an Excel document, and the agent will use that as input. But back to our current process, we're using this image file, monthlyflavors.jpg, as input. Now, if we scroll down to the agent schema, this is where we define the shape of the response we want back from the AI. So here we've got drink title, which is just the name of the first drink on the menu, and drink description, which is the description of that drink. Then we have serve temperature, which tells us if it's hot or cold. And for that field, we've limited it to just two values, hot or cold, by defining an enumeration. So instead of returning any random string, it has to pick from the options we gave it. Finally, we'll move down to the actions section. This is where we define what the agent should do after it gets a result back. Each action can have logic attached to it, and that logic uses JSON logic, so you can make robust decisions based on the AI's output, whether that output is a string, an integer, a numeric value, or a Boolean. In our case, we're keeping it very simple. We're basically just checking whether drink title has a value. If it does, then go ahead and run the next step. For us, that next step is an executable run step, which means we're telling the agent to run a local command we've explicitly defined. Here, all we're doing is echoing out the drink title, the drink description, and the serve temperature. And at the end, you can see Platform Mac OS, which means this specific run step is only set to run on Mac OS. We could add Linux or Windows to the list as well, or have specific actions for specific platforms. All right, so now let's open up the terminal inside Codex. We can run ls just to see the contents. At this point, the only new thing in the folder is the JSON file. Now we're going to run cargo AI hatch and turn that JSON into a new agent. If this is your first time running it, it may take a little longer, but after that, future hatches should usually be this fast. Now we're just going to run our agent, monthly flavors. In my case, it's going to use my default profile, which is my OpenAI account. If you have a ChatGPT Plus account or above, you can use that with the agents you create here. And as you can see, it ran and returned a drink title, drink description, and serve temperature. The only issue is that I didn't tell it to print those on separate lines, so we can make that quick correction now. So I'll tell Codex to make it echo out each element on a different line. You can see it updated the run step, and now when we hatch it again, we should be in business. I just added a force option, so it overwrites the old agent. Now, if you run it, you can see it echoed the attributes on different lines. Okay, next we want it to generate the first drink's image based on the title and description. So let's tell Codex what to do. Now please update the monthly flavors agent to add an image generation step after the echo succeeds. Use the first drink's title, description, and whether it should be hot or cold to build the image prompt. Use GPT image 1.5 for the image generation step. Save the output locally with a reasonable file name based on the drink title, and keep the JSON clean and readable. Then show me the JSON portion associated with that new image creation step inline for my review. So after we submit that, Codex adds a new run step for image creation. It already knows the general kind of step we want, but I want it to use the latest image model, version 1.5, because there is a pretty meaningful difference between version 1 and 1.5. Now, if we scroll up and look at the new JSON it created, we can still see the earlier executable step where it echoes out the drink values. But now we also have this new run step of a different kind, generate image. And just like before, it injects the variables associated with the drink title, the description, and the serve temperature. But instead of outputting those values to the command line, it uses them to build the image prompt and generate the image. We also have the output path here, but right now it is not based on a variable. So in a minute, We'll want to update that so the file name is variable-driven too. And we also have a when step, which uses the result of the previous run step to decide whether this one should run. So this image creation step is only going to run if the earlier echo step worked. All right, so now let's hatch the agent again. But this time, because we're going to run image generation, we need to use token-based authentication instead of our normal GPT account or Codex Alta. So I'm going to switch profiles. I have 2 profiles saved. If you ever forget how to check them, you can use the help command. The command is cargo AI profile list. Here you can see my default profile is my OpenAI, which points to the OpenAI server and uses my OpenAI account auth. But for image generation, I also have another profile saved called OpenAI Image, and that one stores the token-based authentication we need for the image model. So now let's run the agent again, this time with the OpenAI Image profile, and hit Enter. It will almost immediately echo the structured output back to us, and then after about 30 seconds, it will generate the image. I'll speed this part up here. And now you can see the result. It stored the image locally as the clover, and here is the generated image. All right, so now we've basically done everything needed for one drink on the list. But of course, we do not want this for just one image. We want it for the whole menu, and we also want to clean up the file naming a bit. And the truth is, you do not need to baby Codex and Cargo AI this much. It already has a lot of context. I was doing that here mostly so you could see the JSON structure grow in a simplified way, step by step. So now let's wrap up the agent with a slightly longer prompt and see how it does. And if it does not get everything right on the first pass, that is fine. We can always fix it with another prompt iteration. Here we go. Hi, Codex. A single drink looks good, but now let's make this more robust and scale it out. Please update the agent to support up to 12 drinks from the menu. For each drink, create numbered fields for the title, description, temperature, and also a file name for the image. Use a numbered structure, starting with 0, 1 and continuing through 12. If a drink does not exist, leave the related fields blank so we can test for that condition cleanly. For each populated drink, first echo the values to the command line just like we did before, and then generate an image for that drink. Also, update the image generation prompt so it reflects that these images are meant to live on a website menu. The images should be artistically drawn, contain no visible text in the artwork itself, use a white background, and stay visually consistent across the whole set. Use the numbered file name field for the generated image path so each output gets a clean, usable file name based on the drink title. So now we've created the prompt that we're sending into Codex, and I'm going to fast forward while it works through the solution. The nice thing is that it is going to keep working until it has a valid JSON verified by the hatch check. And now it's done, and you can see on the screen an example of part of the updated JSON, including the new file name field. So let's go back into the Codex CLI and quickly use Vim to look at the updates. You can see that it created a string field for each drink, including the description and the file name. This is exactly why it made sense to start simple. If we had started with all of the drinks at once, it would have been a lot more to wade through. So now let's hatch it again and force it to overwrite the old version. Let's run the compiled agent to start the full menu process. And now it has started creating drink 1, and we're waiting on the image. It worked, the image outputted, and I'll speed this part up while we wait for the rest of the drinks to finish. Great, it's all done. Now let's look at the output where we can see that all of the images have been created. And let's open them up and take a look. Now, one thing we did not do here, but which I did in my original example, and which would be easy to extend, is have the agent understand what month it is, and use that to influence the hot versus cold mix. So, for example, in February, maybe 80% of the drinks would be hot, while in the summertime, maybe only 50% would be hot, and the rest would be cold. Before I wrap up, I want to point out one important thing. What Cargo AI built here is not just a configuration file. It is a reusable CLI agent. That means we can run it over and over again with different inputs. In our case, every month for the coffee shop. We can swap profiles if needed, even use open source models, and keep extending the workflow over time. So the value is not just that it worked once. The value is that it is now a repeatable tool we can keep building on.
Hey everyone, I'm Jonathan. I wanted to share this example because it's both practical and real. It helped a local coffee shop I care about, and I think it shows what's possible now with AI in a way that feels both useful but safe. What excites me is that if you can clearly describe a workflow, there's a good chance AI can help you build it today. And my hope is that Cargo AI can make that even easier for more people. If you're in the Florence, Kentucky area, stop by Velocity Bike and Bean. And if this was helpful, please like and subscribe. It helps more people discover Cargo AI and helps me keep making examples like this one. Thanks for watching.